think every great restaurant in the city has a wall clock, of course, because you always want to see what time it is, you always stay on pace. And I thought it would be really fun to have something that if you know it and you see it just briefly, you're like, wow, that's a cool piece.
Hey y'all, it's Thomas Hendricks with Cronin 24, and we are in a special place for our watch talk today. Let's just jump right in. Who are you and where are we?
All right, my name is Raymond Trinh. We're at 63 Clinton, Lower East Side, Manhattan. Small restaurant, tasting menu format. You know, the food's okay, I hear. You know, we kind of dabble in a little bit of French, Japanese cooking. Kind of a memoir of where we've been in life and things that we love to eat.
Raymond, let's do a quick little wrist check. What do you got on for us today?
IWC here, pilot. This is the AMG F1 that was just released. I saw it all over social media. I'm a huge F1 fan.
Yeah, and I love the colors that we have going on here. We have a lot of color in here in general, but yeah, it's not something that you shy away from.
No, not at all. You know, a lot of people think, of course, this color scheme right now is the it color. You know, you see a lot of it, the Tiffany's kind of.
Yeah. Throw around the T word a little bit.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's a really beautiful color. The strap's gorgeous. It definitely pops. The interchangeable straps are really convenient. I've actually never owned an IWC before, but seeing how fast you can actually change the straps out, you know, 20 seconds, it's really nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, a lot of brands are catching on to that sort of thing. That normally changing straps is a bit of a nightmare, and maybe we should try and resolve that a little bit. So we got our wrist check done. We should do a drink check as well.
Oh my gosh.
What do we have here?
A little bit of Krug, a little bit in Magnum shape here. Cheers to you.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, I'm a huge champagne person, and I think champagne always goes well with food, no matter where you're eating. Celebration, no celebration, or no food at all.
Yeah.
Drink champagne.
Yeah, it'll find its way in, that's for sure.
You know, I've been in the industry 15 years now, and it's something that I've always loved to do, always loved to be surrounded by food and that kind of culture that it brings. And watches have always kind of been within my wheelhouse. I've always loved mechanics, and watches are very much that.
Yeah, there's a big crossover between restaurant industry, especially chefs and things like that, and watches as well. We have our Speedmaster clock behind us. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Which I love, yeah. I think every great restaurant in the city has a wall clock, of course, because you always want to see what time it is, you always stay on pace. And I thought it would be really fun to have something that if you know it and you see it just briefly, you're like, wow, that's a cool piece. So I ended up with the Omega Snoopy wall clock. I love to show off a little bit, but again, if you happen to be a watch person and you see it, sparks that kind of excitement.
You'll know instantly. And I like how it's like, you get that extra little touch with the Snoopy on there as well. I know we have one watch here I want to start with that was celebrating an accomplishment in your life as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. This is the Rolex Explorer one. This is the 39 millimeter, which it was an updated one where the hands actually meet the tracks. It's not the T-Rex, which they call the short arms, right? I thought this was so classy. To be able to wear this at work, bang it up a little bit, Explorer, right? It should be worn. It should be something that could take some of the dings that, you know, working the restaurant industry happen to give you.
Quite a few,
And not to mention, it's really kind of subtle. When you're looking at this watch, it's something that, you know, if you didn't know watches, you wouldn't think anything of it, you know?
It just looks like a watch.
A watch, right?
To the uninitiated.
Yeah, but then when you see it, man, the really beautiful subtleties of it, you know, I think a lot of collectors respect this watch, the history behind it, the wearability, the sport bracelet on it's a daily kind of thing, but it can also dress up. You know, I've worn this with many a suit, and
super versatile.
Really, you know. So I think for my first piece, I thought this would be fantastic. 2017, my business partner now, Sam, we obtained a Michelin Star. You know,
Congrats.
Hey, it's not
a small deal.
You know, no, not a bad thing. You know, it was a feat that I thought, you know, was always what I wanted to live up to in this industry, and I finally achieved it. We did it together as a team. And you know, I thought, what better way to celebrate? You know, get a proper timepiece.
If there was ever an occasion, that would be
right?
Yeah.
Every great mile marker, I think. You know. So here, I'm not sure what we're gonna get. Probably no stars, but I'm still gonna celebrate with something.
You're a month away from your 1 year.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Then you know what? I'm gonna hop on Chrono 24 and see what I can get. two pieces that I truly love. I first started with this one. This is the Wimbledon 41 millimeter. A lot of talk about this one right now, whether you're getting it with the fluted bezel or the Jubilee or Oyster. And
a lot of different forks in the road there.
Which is good, because I love the contrast. And for me, contrast, I had to go with the smooth bezel and then the Jubilee. Because I think I could wear this a little bit more often. If I had the Jubilee and the fluted, a little too dressy for me in my lifestyle. And the Oyster, because I already had the Oyster on my Explorer, I would love to have that Jubilee. So truly, once I got this one too, I fell in love with it right away.
Yeah, sunray finish going on there, and I like how you dialed it in, like dressiness-wise, where you're like, bring it up with the Jubilee and kind of like temper it down a little bit with just the smooth bezel there to find your sweet spot.
A really great balance. And I know there's a lot of talk right now what the best combination to. I think overall opinion is get the fluted with the Jubilee. But for me, yeah, having the half and half. Whether it is fluted with the Oyster, I think is really cool too. But I wanted that Jubilee bracelet. I wanted to see what it felt like. And you know what? Really, really comfortable, really gorgeous, really kind of flashy too. So not my everyday, but I tend to wear it a lot.
Well, speaking of fluted Jubilee combos, and in a more classic size as well, we have another Datejust on the menu.
And I think a lot of people, this is the 36 millimeter Datejust, white Roman numeral, fluted bezel and Jubilee, but the kicker here, hidden clasp, which I fell in love with right away. You know, I was actually sourcing a watch like this for one of my sommeliers here, my beverage director. Love this watch, and I had the opportunity to buy one. And after I bought it, you know, he looked at it. He's like, you know, I think I want something a little bigger. You know, I want 41. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna keep this. You know, no problem. And after now, I'm like, I'm not gonna give it up.
Let's talk about some G-Shocks, huh?
Oh, let's talk about G-Shock. You know, I grew up with Casio. You know, there were the Walmart $15 special in the little case that revolves, whatever. And just kind of always having one of those basic watches on. My older brother always had one too, and I thought he was the coolest guy. And so I wanted to kind of be like him too, and just had the basic, not the calculator, the TV remote one, which are kind of coming back into popularity now. But just a basic Casio, and kind of always having that. I thought these were so cool the first time I saw them. These are the full metal versions, but really, really special. Just the sheer weight of them. I mean, noticeable, right? I mean, they're heavy as pieces. The gold's beautiful. It is something that just kind of pops. It's a lot. They came out with the Tokyo Twilight Edition too. Just kind of
I've never seen this one before.
Said something about trying to mimic the twilight of the sun going down during peak hours in Tokyo. Gives it the like kind of neon Tokyo vibes. A lot of that like rich purple tones in there. A really cool blue hue in there as well. Awesome. And it's a huge upgrade from those $15 pieces at Walmart, right? But really, really cool.
And it's just fun to wear.
Fun to wear. Oh my gosh, people notice these right away.
I want to take you back to the beginning just real quick while we're talking a little bit more about your early days with not a watch that a lot of people see in videos a lot, but we have a guess watch.
A guess watch.
Yeah, tell me about this.
I think it's actually kind of cool that it's square in shape, it's a rectangle, you know, it's very Cartier-esque, you know. But within that, yeah, my father gave this to me after I graduated high school. This is now just, I think, half my life I've had this now, which is awesome. It was the first like really kind of fancy, dressy watch that I've owned. You know, not the plastic resin Casio, but this was something, you know, it was near and dear. And after my father gave it to me, moved on, went to college and all that, I couldn't take this off. I always had it on me for every occasion, no occasion, and always had this. I thought it was like really kind of nice. Of course, at the time, and still do, but yeah, I always wore this. Cracked the casing a little bit on it, got some water in there. A really good friend of mine fixed it for me. I'm happy to keep this one probably forever, you know. Maybe one day put a battery in it, see if it's still going. But that one is really near and dear.
And we know from your clock you're a Speedmaster fan, so I think the most natural place to go next is our pair here.
Highbrow, lowbrow, right?
Highbrow, lowbrow.
I think that's the story of today. Yeah, a little bit highbrow, lowbrow. Always a huge fan of Omega. You know, after getting a couple Rolexes under my belt, you know, I thought it was time to have something like this, you know. It's a great first watch for people. People are thinking, you know, you have to spend X amount of money to have something that's really noticeable, really great. Omega is that, you know. I think it checks all the boxes.
One of the best deals on the market, bar none.
Hands down, you know, and I think everyone should own one of these, whether you're a purist with the Hesalite, or you want the sapphire and sapphire.
Another fork in the road, here we go.
The sandwich, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to get into one of these watches, you don't have to spend that much money, and all watch people respect this watch. Funny story about this. Let's get into it. So actually, let's start here with the swatch. Okay. And so, as everyone has probably seen one of these or not, the MoonSwatch. I waited in line. I was one of those people, heard they were releasing it, went out to one of our stores here in New York City, and I waited for hours. And lo and behold.
Early morning, I'm sure, as well.
Lo and behold, of course. And, you know, after working, you know, getting out of here 2 or 3 in the morning, just pretty much like went home, showered, went out there, and a line that was wrapping the block. I could not believe how many people are out there, which was cool. It was all people that love watches, and you know, if you're in the community,
yeah, it was like an impromptu watch guy meetup.
Yeah, and everyone's just like showing watches off. Some people had cases of their watches just kind of hang out and talk about, which I'm like, I wouldn't bring out all my watches to the middle of New York and the street corner at night. Yeah. But yeah, it was really kind of cool to see that. Unfortunately, I got to a point in the line where somebody walked down the line and said, if you're this far back, no chance. And that was hours in. I was so disgruntled about not getting one. I just got the original, you know?
Which is a lot easier to get, yeah.
A lot easier to get. So I went out, got an Omega, and I was so happy with it. And for a while, this was the only watch I was putting on. Hesalite held up, even to day-to-day wearing here at the shop. After getting the Omega, I was so happy with it. The second day I'm wearing this, I bump into none other than Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, okay.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
While you're wearing the watch?
While I'm wearing it, second time I'm wearing it.
This is quite the honeymoon phase.
It was great, it was great. I was still in love with it. I saw Neil and I was like, oh my gosh, I fangirled. I was like,
quite literally, the universe working in your favor, yeah.
Yeah, you know, things happen for a reason.
Okay, so then what happened next?
Yeah, you know, he mentioned actually having a Sharpie on him. He recognized it right away. He said, oh, this is the MoonWatch. And I'm like, Neil, you're my idol, man. That's so cool. And he took out a Sharpie. He signed my original strap that it came with. I retired the strap because I want that memory to live forever.
Yes.
His signature is so large. When he signed the strap, he couldn't fit the whole thing on there.
So what does it say?
It says Neil D. Tyso. And he looks at it and starts laughing and hands it back to me. He's like, that's how it landed.
When did you get this one?
A few years back. You know, I think it was in the middle of getting a couple of these, couldn't afford my next proper Rolex. But the Hamilton Khaki, I think, one of the greatest affordable watches you can get. I couldn't believe like you could actually get all the stats on this. Again, sapphire crystal on both sides, fully automatic. It's like, wow, this is kind of a cool buy. And I think people that are saying, oh, I can't afford a nice watch, or, you know, I can't get into wearing a Rolex, you don't need to. I think you can wear something like this and still watch people see it.
Oh yeah, been endorsed by people who really know what they're doing. And this is just a great watch when you want to wear a watch.
Absolutely.
Last one, let's wrap it up here. This is the Seiko 5 Rowing Blazers collaboration as well.
Which was interesting. I had a good friend, shout out to Panda Cat here, hits me up, texts me in the morning, says, hey, check this out. This is going for sale like in an hour, you know, check it out, see if you can get one. And you know, I wasn't really in the market for a watch. I was just like, okay, let's look at it. The racing edition here, they call this the Rally Diver, and
great for a race fan.
Great for a race fan, right? Or a ska fan if you're a punk rock ska fan. You know, with the checkers on there, get the checkered Vans on. You know, you're ready.
Vans, yeah, you're ready to mosh around.
Yeah. So you know, I thought it was cool. It's versatile. It's a little bit chunky, but it does wear well. Cool to have the different date situation on there. It looms really nicely.
I mean, Seikos in general, yeah. I recently got the color black version of this and was like wearing it as I was sleeping the other night, and it was just like reflecting off the ceiling, basically, with
Turn it
that
off.
amount of
Turn
light.
it
Yeah,
down, you know?
yeah, I did just take it off and put it in a drawer. Question I gotta ask is, what's next? You have your 1-year anniversary coming up. Restaurants doing well.
I do. It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. Right now, the main one for me, getting brand new Starbucks. I would love that Rolex Submariner with the green. It's a new updated Kermit. I think it looks so beautiful. And again, our colors here at work are a lot of green, black. For a long time, wanted that Batman Jubilee, the Batgirl, what do you want to call it. I've always wanted one
I
of
love it
those,
on the Jubilee.
right? Really, really beautiful. And I started noticing I see them everywhere. And so it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. At least, I mean, they're everywhere for a reason, right? Because they're gorgeous.
Exactly.
But then, you know, I was going to be a little bit different. So Starbucks it is. I think that's going to be the next watch.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have you back for a little watch hunting. We can kind of poke around and see what comes up. Huh?
Maybe you know somebody at Chrono 24 that can give me a pretty good price.
I'll make a phone call.
All right.
Raymond, thanks so much for having us today. Love going through all your watches, both high and low. A lot of personal stories here. If you haven't been to 63 Clinton, definitely check it out on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. This has been such a fun day. Thanks so much for having us.
I had a blast, and thank you guys for coming through, sharing some champagne with me.
This is only just the beginning.
Awesome. Yeah. Cheers.
I'm Thomas Hendricks with Chrono 24. Thanks for watching, and as always, enjoy your watches.